Hi, today we are going to discuss all about milk. For instance, pasteurized milk, does it need boiling, the proper cooking, and all other milk related questions in this video. Okay, so stay tuned. So, even before we talk about milk, so the fundamental question is that do we really need milk? Is milk essential for human as per evolutionary perspective or not? I released this video long back. Okay, that video addressing that question. Please check out right here. The video appears. So please check that video. Okay, so this video is all about the milk as in. So let's talk about different types of milk. Okay, so there are three main types. We are talking only about the cow milk here. There are a lot of other types of milk too, right? The buffalo milk, sheep milk, even donkey milk, right? Goat milk, horse milk, whatnot, isn't it? Coming to the cow milk, mainly there are three options are available to us to buy what kind of milk you want to buy. The option number one is raw milk, very popular here in India, isn't it? Second type of milk is the pasteurized one, also pretty popular even in the rural areas. In any grocery store you can just buy the milk packet, isn't it? And the third option is the sterilized milk, like the packet that you can see right here in backside of me. It's a sterile milk, that also known as UHT milk. So let's little bit discuss each one of this, right, to give you an idea. So the raw milk is basically directly coming from the udder of cow, so it's very pure. That is the kind of like thoughts that we have. It's super duper popular here in India because it's deeply ingrained to Indian culture. And even raw milk predates pasteurization by thousands of years. So we have been drinking raw milk perhaps from the Harappa, right? Mohenjo-daro, isn't it? So that Indus Valley civilizations onwards, when the agriculture we started herding, isn't it? So that's why it's really deeply rooted to Indian civilization. So, and also, there are a lot of health benefits. For instance, the raw milk is having much higher vitamins and nutrients and enzymes and whatnot, probiotics. Most of these claims have been debunked by the science, but even then, if you compare the two kinds of milk, raw milk or boiled milk, for sure raw milk is much better, much healthier, because if you boil this milk, what happens is that most of the nutrients like vitamins and enzymes and whatnot, even the probiotic potential, will be gone. So if you compare that with a boiled milk, the raw milk is definitely superior. But then what is the problem with this raw milk? One of the main issues is that you invariably need to boil it. Why you need to boil it? Because the raw milk has got pathogens, and consuming acids is wrong. So you might get salmonellosis and other infectious diseases from consuming raw milk. So it's absolutely not recommended to consume the raw milk as it is. And also the raw milk, because of lot of pathogenic as well as non-pathogenic microbial load, if you store the raw milk as it is in fridge, for example, within a day it will be completely spoiled. So boiling is invariably needed. So as I just told you, boiling the milk is super bad. The reason is that most of the nutrients will be gone. For example, the proteins will get curdled. That means basically all this protein gets denatured. In milk we have got two main types of protein. A vast majority is casein, and the other kind is whey, very popular in supplement industry, isn't it? So both whey as well as casein get denatured and clumped together. So that is the consistency of milk is gone if you boil it. And also there is another phenomenon called scalding or scorching. So if you're putting this milk into a container and then if you boil it directly onto the heat, what happens is that the layer at the bottom gets caramelized. So Maillard's reaction happens in biochemistry. So that reaction also produces acrylamide. You see, so that is actually linked with cancer. You see, so that is why direct heating of the milk on the flame is not recommended. So in case you really want to do the heating of the milk, so well, there are milk heaters available with double wall with you pour the water into one's inside this double wall, then you boil this water, and then indirect heat you are going to get into your milk. So that is a proper way to boil the milk. But here in India we don't do it, right? We simply put that into a vessel and direct heat. So the direct heat leads to Maillard reaction, and then scalding happens. Okay, so that is why it's not really good. So multiple issues if you boil it. All these vitamins and the protein gets denatured. Vitamin, for example, B12 and B2, everything is gone, and above all, even the taste is distorted. So that is the reason why the raw milk boiling is not popular in most of the countries abroad, right? So yeah, the milk is not only less nutrient but also less tasty. So that is why I won't recommend to go with raw milk and heating of this raw milk, right? Potential health impacts as well as potential taste impact, right? Altogether, it is not recommended at all. So now coming to the next one, this is what I suggest you to go with: pasteurization. Okay, so pasteurized milk is very safe. What is pasteurization? Well, it just happened around 100 years back now. So it is now, as I told you, in rural India, pasteurized milk is very common. The pasteurization is basically at low temperature. You're holding the temperature for a little longer so that the temperature is insufficient to denature the proteins or cause the taste disturbances, but at the same time highly efficient to kill most of the pathogenic bacteria. Well, the spores of bacteria still remain, so it's not like completely sterile. It still have got bacteria, but most of the bacteria, especially pathogenic bacteria, is gone. So pasteurization is an amazing technique for milk and also for eggs. So the technique is that one of the very commonly used pasteurization recipe is HTST, that is high temperature short time. So the temperature is usually 72 degrees Celsius and 15 second of pasteurization, right? Just 15 second milk is kept at 72 degree. You can do that at home also if you have got this, as I told you, double walled vessel and also precise thermometer. Then you can buy raw milk and you can do this pasteurization at home too. But then, well, again, I don't recommend it, right? What if the temperature is wrong? And also, how many of us have got this facility at home, isn't it? You can just buy pasteurized milk from the market. So this HTST method is called flash pasteurization. It's pretty faster. Well, there is another method, long time and low temperature. Low temperature, long time pasteurization, which is at 63 degrees, 30 minutes. So that is popular with the cheese manufacturers in Europe, but here in India no one does it, right? Most of the commercial enterprise, for instance, Amul or Verka here in Punjab, or Milma in Kerala, right? Or Mother Dairy or Avin or Nandini, all these after HTST milk, isn't it? It's pretty popular in India. Here is the catch: pasteurized milk is perfectly safe to drink as it is. You don't need to boil it. Even then, most of the Indians, we boil it, right? Because it's deeply ingrained to our culture, right? So we think that it's kind of a pure, right? Once you boil it, most of the impurities will be gone, just like how we boil the water, right? No need. It's counterintuitive to boil pasteurized milk. The reason is that it's already absolutely safe, right? Food safety point of view, it's absolutely safe to drink pasteurized milk as it is, or just add into the tea. I don't warm it at all. But in case you really want to try like latte, like coffee, if you want to put a frothed milk onto it, well, then it makes sense to warm to around 60 degrees Celsius, kind of a lukewarm, right? 66 is the gold standard for latte, and then you can use a frother. So actually the industry level, like if you go to a cafeteria, proper coffee shop, then the barista, what they do is that they use a cold milk and then they use the steam into it, right, to froth it. Well, steam and all we don't really have at home, so a normal frother is fine. Better you warm it, but never cross 70 degrees, right? 66 is perfectly fine. So, well, don't boil the pasteurized milk. That is what my recommendation. Well, another kind of milk, as you can see in backside of me, is the UHT milk, ultra high temperature sterilization. It's not even pasteurization, it's a complete sterilization. That means that the milk like this don't have any bacteria in it. The recipe, how it works is at 138 degrees Celsius for 3 seconds. So it's very, very less time, but extremely high temperature, So this is very interesting recipe, that at 138 degrees Celsius, though it is very high temperature, but the second is extremely less, isn't it? Just 3 seconds, and therefore not proteins get denatured. Some little bit of denaturing might happen, but that is insubstantial. Majority of the proteins don't get denatured, and so as the vitamins and enzymes and everything is pristine in this kind of milk. So it's really good. Though it is pretty less popular here in India, but it's very safe too. It's safer than pasteurized milk. You see, the biggest difference or advantage of this kind of milk, if you compare that with the pouch milk, the pasteurized milk, is that pasteurized milk need refrigeration, right? You need to store that in the fridge, isn't it? But this milk you don't really have to store in the fridge. Well, I think most of us already know it, right? We can just put that. It's a room temperature safe, right? This kind of the UHT milk is room temperature safe, and flavor is not at all changed. Like if you do a blind taste test, right, the pasteurized milk with raw milk with this UHT milk, so it all fails. No one can really understand the differences. So, but raw milk, I told you, never try it alone, because there is a risk of pathogenic introduction to your system. Okay, but then once you cook it, it's gone. The taste is gone, isn't it? So yeah, flavor is slightly affected, but it fails in blind taste test, right? So yeah, it is insignificant. Okay, so this is highly recommended because it's absolutely safe, and the nutritional profile is fantastic, and the taste wise too. This is what I really prefer, this kind of UHT milk. Well, pasteurized milk is absolutely safe too for consuming acids, but I don't recommend the raw milk acids. Okay, now coming to other types of milk in terms of fat content. Well, we have got skim milk, and so skim milk is basically the lowest fat. In abroad it's called skim milk, but here in India we call this one, the skim milk, as toned milk, isn't it? Some varieties have like double toned milk also, right? So double toned is basically 1.5 percentage of the fat and less than that, right? So double toned milk is very interesting milk, which I strongly suggest you to have a look. And then, well, we have full fat. Probably the most commonly used milk is full fat milk, like Amul Gold, So the fat content is around 3.5 percentage, and somewhere in between various incarnations of milk also. So the lowest one is basically double toned or skim milk, 0.5% or less, and or even sometimes it is 1.5% is a fat. Even 0.5 versions are coming these days. And the other extreme is a full fat milk. I'm talking only about the cow milk. When if you go with the buffalo milk, well, the fat content is much higher, 8%. Okay, it's a full cream milk, isn't it? Yeah. So well, the in between these two are something called reduced fat and low fat, like yellow label and green label, isn't it? Yeah, all those things are there. So why skim milk is better? Usually skim milk or the double toned milk or the toned milk have got less fat and more protein. Yeah, this is very important. The protein is really important. Protein is higher while fat is lesser. Though the protein is not substantially higher, a bit higher. So even if you say like protein is identical, fat is what makes full fat milk so fatty, and that fat is mostly saturated fat. So, it's not that very good for your health, isn't it? So, yeah, this is really good if you're into calorie deficient diet, because as we know it, a calorie deficient diet is associated with longevity. isn't it? So try to reduce calories as much as possible from your diet. That is really important. Well, there are exceptions, like in case you are a recent mother or pregnant lady, a recent mother, lactating mother need a lot of calories, right? So yeah, there are exceptions, but as a general rule, yeah, calorie restriction is way to go, Yes, and well, all these are homogenized milk. So homogenized means, well, it's filtered through various filters to remove the fat globules, so that is why. And also skim milk, or the double toned milk. That way to call here in India is double toned or single toned. So toned milk, by definition, you are diluting the this buffalo milk with the cow milk, fat-free cow milk, you're adding into the buffalo milk to dilute it. So that is the way to make the toned milk, but it doesn't matter. Finally, milk is milk, isn't it? Cow or buffalo, isn't it? So yeah, yet another reason for the toned milk is that the shelf life is a little bit higher. It's around 10 days, you get it for a low fat milk rather than a full cream milk. That is another thing. Okay, well, beyond this cow and buffalo, as I told you, there are different kinds of milk, and one of the milk which I am more interested is sheep milk. The sheep milk has got highest protein level, 5 to 5.8. So if you look, if there is an option for toned or double toned or skim sheep milk, the fat removed sheep milk, fantastic. But unfortunately, the sheep milk is not much manufactured. Not many people are, not many farmers are into the sheep milk business. It's mostly for niche marketing for cheese, especially in Netherlands, right? The Holland, isn't it? So yeah, that is why it is not that very popular. Buffalo, I told you, it's very high in fat content, right? Yak is also there in Himalaya. The yak milk is also pretty high in fat, but not up to the buffalo. The goat milk is quite similar to the cow. Now, camel milk is much lower fat. So as horse milk and even donkey milk is popular in some countries. Like in, the Central Asian countries, the donkey milk is pretty popular. Fat content is very low, but then protein content is also low. That is a big little bit of the issue with that. Okay, so let me just show you the two very popular milk here in India is the Amul Gold, the packet milk, and also this kind of milk. This is basically slim and trim. So this is basically the two extreme examples. Okay, Amul Slim and Trim is an example of double toned milk, very low in fat, and this is the highest in fat, right? Very commonly sold across India, right? Amul is very famous. Now, Amul Gold and Amul Slim and Trim, the main difference is the fat. Look at the fat, 6 grams of fat for this, of which 3.8 is a saturated. So more than half is saturated. Now here the total fat is only 1.5. You see, very, very less fat. So as saturated fat. Now coming to the protein, it's 3. This is 3.2. The protein is higher. Rest is all identical. Of course, the fat is more, means calories also more for this milk. Okay, this is what I prefer. So this this kind of slim and trim, this is double toned milk, is on a nutritional point of view, this is much better because it has got a much lower fat, but the protein is more or less same, but there is an edge also, right? A little bit more, though it is not substantially higher. So this is pretty good one. Shelf life is also pretty good, right? And yeah, cost wise also, this milk tend to be cheaper than Amul Gold, though this need more preparation, right? More stuff. Usually in abroad, if you see the double tone, that basically the skim milk is more expensive, but here in India it's just opposite, isn't it? Because the demand is pretty low. Well, these two are the other two options for the UHT milk. Both are UHT. UHT is a long shelf life milk, isn't it? Ultra high temperature milk. My favorite among all these variants is this Amul Moti. Do you know why? This Moti is the protein is really high, 3.5. So compared with any kinds of milk, this one is really good. And the fat is pretty low. Here also is the total fat is low, but here it's much lower. You can say that total fat is only 3, but in the case of Taza, Amul Taza, the total fat is 9. So this is kind of like a standard milk kind of taste, if you like, while Moti is much more lighter milk, but this one is more proteinaceous. And yeah, this is I strongly recommend you to consider this. Okay, it's not that expensive too, right? So either Amul Moti or Amul Slim and Trim, isn't it? And other brands too. I'm not just pushing Amul, but well, why not Verka or Milma or whatnot, right? Many different kinds of brands, right? Skim milk is way to go, and also UHT milk. This is really a very healthy and safe way to consume it. Well, for this UHT milk, you don't really need to put that into fridge, okay? And no need of boiling. Definitely no need to boil. Don't spoil this milk, isn't it? You can just consume, just add directly into your cereal, oats, and whatnot, tea, coffee, everything, right? Now, well, the earlier one, right? The milk like this, right? Amul Gold or Amul Slim and Trim. So invariably, you need to put that into your fridge to store it. Now, where to store it? That is a question here, right? So if you have a fridge like this, this is exactly the kind of fridge that I have. It's just one door, a 5-star rated fridge, you know. So you can see that here, the chiller, just below the freezer, there is a chiller, and the chiller, it says milk zone. You know, in this one, it says milk zone. Yeah, it's clearly marked, isn't it? Default option. It tells you this is where to store milk, isn't it? The most ideal location for milk storage is chiller. Yeah, am I right? No, that is incorrect. You know, the chiller is not a good place. The reason is that chiller is susceptible to extremely low temperature, and sometimes it freezes. You know, so when the milk freezes and thaws, what happens is that milk solid gets separated and it becomes a lot more watery, you know, so that is not good, right? Well, the safety point, there is no problem with it, but then the taste wise and nutrition wise, it's not that good as pure homogenized milk, you know. So that homogenized consistency is gone if you're, you know, if the milk is susceptible to the extreme low temperature. Okay, so chilling the milk in the chiller is not good at all. How about here on the door itself, storing the milk, right? In many commercials you might have seen that storing milk on the door. No, again, not good. The reason is that the door, any kind of fridge, the door is the place which is really warm, and the temperature keep on changing every time you open the fridge, you know. So that is why this area is also not good. Then where? The best area is right here, just above the crisper where you keep your, you know, the vegetables. And you can see this the place where apple is being kept, right? Banana or apple is being kept. So in the main compartment, lowermost rack, and deep inside, that is a place where you should keep your milk. So once you open the milk, or without opening the milk also, keep it there. And the moment you open a milk packet, the sachet, isn't it, the plastic sachet, put that into an opaque container, preferably glass, right? Because opaque is also important, because the photo bleaching is also, you know, that is really real, isn't it? So if you're, you know, the moment you open, then there will be light entering into the milk. That alone is responsible for spoilage, right? So it's better to put that into a opaque container. A glass is non-reactive. Well, you know, if it's certified BPA and BPS free, that is also fine with the plastic. But the point is that it's always better to have the glass, because it's so easy to clean it. You know, plastic, well, there is a super tiny microscopic, you know, the grooves is super difficult to clean it thoroughly, right? So put that into a opaque, not even translucent, but purely opaque, you know, glass container. If you don't have it, go with opaque plastic container, which is BP and BPS free, and then it should be airtight. That is really important. Once you open it, put that into an airtight container, and then store right here, bottommost section of the main compartment, backside. Okay, so that's it, some of these tips about the milk. I hope you enjoyed this video. And in summary, the milk, basically that, well, there are different types of milk which I told you, but the main takeaway message is that raw milk is definitely, it's not safe to drink as it is. You need to boil it, and the moment you boil it, most of the nutrients are gone and the taste is also gone, right? So boiling the milk is not recommended at all. So pasteurized or UHT, both are good. Okay, so either you go with pasteurized or with UHT, and low fat options are much better in a nutritional standpoint. Okay, thanks for watching, and do share this video if you find it useful.